Ruby looked like any other dry cleaner until she started noticing systematic evidence destruction in customers' clothing. Crime scene contamination, blood evidence removal, professional tampering. 13 years as a forensic expert had taught her to recognize all of these patterns. Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if this story moves you, make sure to subscribe because tomorrow I have something very special planned for you. Pristine Professional Dry Cleaning occupied a busy corner location in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood, its modern equipment and spotless facility reflecting the kind of professional standards that attracted customers who needed expert garment care for expensive clothing, delicate fabrics, and specialty items that required careful handling. At 9:30 a.m. on a Thursday morning, the shop maintained the efficient atmosphere that established dry cleaners cultivated for clients who valued quality and reliability. Technician Ruby Stain Diamond had been operating the dry cleaning business for 4 years. Ever since she transitioned from her high-stress professional career to seek work that offered both technical challenges and the satisfaction of restoring damaged garments to perfect condition. At 37, she discovered unexpected fulfillment in the precise science of stain removal, fabric restoration, and the problem-solving aspects of professional garment care. The business served a diverse clientele, professionals who needed regular cleaning for work attire, families dealing with special occasion garments, elderly customers who relied on pickup and delivery services, and individuals with specialty cleaning needs for vintage clothing, wedding dresses, and designer items that required expert handling. Ruby approached every garment with systematic attention that customers attributed to exceptional professional training and natural perfectionism about cleaning results. Her stain removal techniques were advanced, her fabric knowledge was extensive, and her ability to restore seemingly hopeless garments had earned her a reputation as one of Chicago's most skilled dry cleaning technicians. What customers didn't realize was that Ruby's approach to analyzing stains, understanding how different substances interacted with fabrics, and recognizing patterns in damage and contamination had been shaped by 13 years as a police forensic technician specializing in blood spatter analysis and crime scene evidence processing. Her law enforcement background had involved examining clothing from crime scenes, analyzing blood patterns to reconstruct violent events, identifying trace evidence that could link suspects to criminal activities, and understanding how perpetrators might attempt to destroy or alter physical evidence that could be used in prosecutions, understanding how blood behaved on different fabrics, recognizing the difference between accidental stains and evidence of violent crimes, and identifying attempts to clean or alter clothing that had been present during criminal activities were skills that had been central to her forensic career. During her first 3 years of dry cleaning operations, Ruby had processed thousands of garments without her forensic training activating any particular concerns about their origins or the nature of stains she was treating. However, during recent months, she'd begun encountering clothing that displayed characteristics triggering investigative instincts she'd thought were dormant. Several customers had brought garments showing stain patterns that Ruby immediately recognized as blood spatter evidence, but these weren't accident victims seeking help with injury-related clothing damage. The blood patterns exhibited characteristics that her 13 years of forensic analysis had taught her to associate with violent crimes rather than accidents or medical emergencies. The directionality, dispersion, and density of the stains suggested deliberate, forceful events rather than incidental contact or minor injury. More concerning was evidence that these garments had been subjected to systematic cleaning attempts using methods that suggested the customers understood they were trying to destroy forensic evidence rather than simply remove stains. The chemical residues, cleaning patterns, and fabric damage indicated professional knowledge of evidence destruction techniques, as if the individuals had studied or trained in methods designed to obscure investigative traces. Ruby's forensic background had exposed her to numerous cases where perpetrators attempted to destroy physical evidence by cleaning blood from clothing, but the methods she was observing suggested a far more sophisticated understanding than typical criminals possessed. These customers knew exactly which chemicals to use, which cleaning sequences would be most effective, and how to alter evidence patterns while maintaining the garment's outward appearance. The timing and coordination of these customers also raised concerns. Multiple individuals were bringing similarly compromised garments at intervals that suggested a systematic operation rather than isolated incidents. Their behavior when dropping off items, hesitant gestures, avoiding eye contact, and careful scrutiny of the surroundings displayed the kind of nervous awareness that Ruby recognized from her law enforcement experience. Most significantly, some garments showed evidence patterns that matched multiple crime scenes. suggesting these customers were involved in organized criminal activities that generated a regular need for professional evidence destruction services. Each item she processed became a potential link in a broader investigative puzzle, and Ruby began meticulously documenting every detail: stains, chemical residues, cleaning methods, and drop-off behavior. She realized that what seemed like routine dry cleaning work had inadvertently placed her in a position to observe sophisticated criminal operations, turning her everyday job into a front-row seat for detecting patterns of organized violence and systematic evidence tampering. Ruby began documenting the forensic evidence she was encountering while maintaining her professional dry cleaning services, applying analytical skills that had been central to her police work but adapting them to civilian circumstances that required careful discretion to avoid alerting potential criminals. Every garment became a potential case file, and she meticulously recorded stain locations, cleaning attempts, and any unusual odors or chemical traces that might provide investigative leads. The blood evidence patterns were becoming undeniable. Multiple garments showed high-velocity spatter consistent with gunshot violence, cast-off patterns indicating blunt force trauma, and contact stains suggesting direct involvement in violent crimes rather than accidental exposure to blood. Ruby noted the orientation, density, and layering of stains, recognizing subtle variations that could indicate sequence of events or multiple sources of trauma. More sophisticated was the evidence of systematic cleaning attempts that preceded the customers' visits to her shop. These individuals had attempted to remove blood using methods that created specific chemical and physical evidence patterns that Ruby's forensic training enabled her to recognize and interpret. She observed repeated use of oxidizing agents, enzyme-based cleaners, and hot water cycles in sequences designed to obscure spatter and dilute residual traces, all of which left telltale markers discernible to a trained forensic eye. The garments also showed trace evidence that extended beyond blood: gunshot residue embedded in fabric fibers, accelerant patterns suggesting involvement in arson, and chemical residues indicating exposure to substances commonly associated with violent crimes or body disposal operations. Ruby began cross-referencing these findings with public crime reports, noting consistencies that suggested her customers might be linked to multiple unsolved incidents. Each piece of clothing became a critical data point, and she realized that her dry cleaning shop had inadvertently become a covert observation post for understanding sophisticated criminal behavior and evidence destruction techniques. Ruby's police experience had taught her that criminal organizations sometimes developed relationships with businesses that could provide specialized services for evidence destruction, money laundering, or operational support. Her dry cleaning shop appeared to have been selected as a resource for systematic evidence tampering services. The geographic and temporal patterns of these customers suggested coordination rather than coincidence. They represented different areas of the city but showed systematic timing in their visits and consistent methods in their evidence destruction attempts that indicated organizational rather than individual criminal activity. Most troubling was the volume of compromised clothing she was encountering, suggesting multiple violent crimes occurring with frequency that indicated organized criminal activity rather than isolated violent incidents. Ruby realized she was encountering systematic evidence destruction operations that required immediate law enforcement intervention. Her 13 years of forensic experience had taught her both the legal obligations and proper procedures for reporting evidence tampering while preserving the physical evidence needed for criminal investigations. Her first concern was public safety. The blood evidence patterns she was analyzing suggested multiple violent crimes, and the systematic nature of evidence destruction indicated ongoing criminal activity that posed continued threats to community safety. This is Ruby Diamond, former police forensic technician, badge number 1847, retired 2019, she said when connected to the Chicago Police Detective Division. I have systematic evidence destruction operations at my dry cleaning business. Multiple violent crime indicators, organized evidence tampering, probable criminal enterprise. The response from law enforcement was immediate and comprehensive. Detective Maria Santos coordinated with Ruby within hours, recognizing both the significance of her observations and the unique expertise she could provide for understanding evidence destruction methods and criminal organizational patterns. Ruby, your forensic background makes you invaluable for this investigation, Detective Santos explained during their secure briefing. We need someone with your expertise who has direct access to the evidence and can help us understand how this criminal network operates while preserving the physical evidence for prosecution. Working with active detectives, Ruby helped analyze what appeared to be a systematic evidence destruction operation that served multiple violent criminal enterprises throughout Chicago while using her dry cleaning business as cover for their activities. Your observations suggest this network has been operating for over 2 years, Detective Santos told Ruby during their case planning. The sophistication of evidence destruction and the volume of violent crime indicators suggests this is supporting major criminal organizations. Ruby found herself operating her dry cleaning business while simultaneously serving as an undercover asset for law enforcement investigating the evidence destruction network. Her legitimate business provided perfect cover for preserving and analyzing criminal evidence while her forensic expertise enabled her to gather intelligence that untrained investigators might miss. Your position gives us unprecedented access to physical evidence from multiple violent crimes, Detective Santos explained. We need someone who can properly preserve the evidence, analyze the destruction methods, and help us build comprehensive cases against the criminal organizations using these services. The evidence preservation phase required Ruby to balance routine dry cleaning operations with systematic collection and analysis of forensic evidence while building detailed profiles of the criminal network's methods and scope. Her police training enabled her to handle evidence properly while gathering intelligence without alerting criminals to law enforcement interests. Ruby's analysis revealed that the Chicago evidence destruction operation was more extensive than initially suspected. The criminal network was servicing multiple violent crime organizations, had developed sophisticated protocols for destroying different types of evidence, and was processing physical evidence from crimes throughout the metropolitan area. They're destroying evidence from approximately 15 violent crimes per month, Ruby reported to the investigation team. This includes murders, shootings, assaults, and other violent offenses that would otherwise have physical evidence linking perpetrators to their crimes. Her forensic expertise proved invaluable for understanding how the network maintained operational security while providing evidence destruction services, enabling law enforcement to develop comprehensive cases against both the evidence tampering organization and the criminal enterprises they served. The investigation culminated with coordinated raids across multiple locations, targeting both the evidence destruction network and the violent criminal organizations that had been using Ruby's intelligence gathering had helped identify. The operations represented one of Chicago's largest organized crime investigations involving evidence tampering. Outstanding work, Detective Santos told Ruby as the arrests unfolded. Your expertise and access enabled us to understand criminal networks in ways that would have been impossible without someone who could recognize forensic evidence patterns and preserve them for prosecution. The operations resulted in 43 arrests involving multiple criminal organizations, the recovery of physical evidence linking suspects to over 60 violent crimes, and the disruption of evidence destruction services that had been enabling violent criminals to avoid prosecution for years. The investigation also led to the solution of numerous cold cases where physical evidence had been thought destroyed, demonstrating the impact that systematic evidence tampering had been having on criminal justice outcomes throughout the city. Your recognition of the forensic evidence patterns probably enabled the prosecution of dozens of violent criminals who would have escaped justice, Detective Santos explained during case closure. Without proper identification and preservation of tampered evidence, these criminal organizations would have continued operating while their crimes went unsolved. The case received regional attention as an example of successful evidence tampering investigation, but Ruby declined most interview requests. The dry cleaner who'd recognized systematic forensic evidence destruction preferred to focus on returning her business to legitimate operations while maintaining awareness of potential evidence tampering. Ruby returned to routine dry cleaning operations with new appreciation for how her forensic background continued to serve criminal justice in unexpected ways. Her business had been cleared of any wrongdoing, and her cooperation had helped solve numerous violent crimes while disrupting criminal organizations that had been evading prosecution. 6 months later, Ruby had consulted on 3 additional evidence tampering cases, helped train dry cleaning professionals in recognizing potential forensic evidence, and had become a regional resource for evidence preservation and criminal investigation support. People think dry cleaning is just about removing stains and cleaning clothes, Ruby explained to a conference of forensic professionals. But we're also positioned to recognize when stains might be evidence of violent crimes, and we have professional obligations to preserve that evidence for justice. Her facility had become a model for forensic awareness in service industries, demonstrating how proper recognition of evidence patterns could support criminal investigations while protecting communities from violent criminals who attempted to destroy physical evidence. 2 years after the original investigation, Ruby had helped identify evidence from 12 additional violent crime cases while continuing her dry cleaning practice. Her forensic expertise, combined with her legitimate access to clothing that might contain evidence, made her valuable for supporting criminal justice efforts. Her secure phone buzzed with a message from Detective Santos, suspected evidence tampering operation in Milwaukee. Similar patterns to your Chicago case. Could use your expertise on forensic evidence analysis. Ruby looked at her cleaning equipment, then at the community she served and protected through both professional garment care and forensic awareness. I'll review the evidence after closing today, she texted back. Some careers never completely end, they just find new applications and new ways to serve justice. Ruby Diamond, former police forensic technician, current guardian of evidence integrity and criminal justice support, continued her work one garment at a time, one preserved piece of evidence at a time, proving that the most important criminal investigations often depend on people who know how to recognize physical evidence when criminals try to destroy it. Sometimes the most crucial forensic discoveries happen in ordinary dry cleaning shops, by people who understand the difference between normal stains and evidence of violent crimes that must be preserved for justice. Have you ever encountered stains or damage that seemed suspicious or potentially connected to criminal activity? Share your observations in the comments below, and tell us what city you're watching from today. If this story of hidden forensic expertise and criminal justice support inspired you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Don't miss the compelling stories appearing on your screen right now. Click to discover more tales of everyday heroes who use their backgrounds to protect communities in unexpected ways, because sometimes the most important evidence preservation begins when someone knows how to recognize attempts to destroy physical proof of violent crimes.
See you in the next videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.